Welcome back to Sunrise Daily, and we have more conversation going on right now. Of course, it's Thursday. So much has happened in the past 24 hours, and joining us to unpack, in fact, one of them was this ICPC speaking on the recovered 20 billion naira ghost workers pension deduction. The former NHIS boss was remanded, and that made all of us worry about what's happening to our government officials and the monies that are put in their care. And then, of course, this unfortunate fire incident in Zamfara state that's got 17 children killed in that Almajiri school. Well, joining us this Thursday, Mr. Akande, former presidential media aide and host of Inside Sources. Thank you so much for being with us on the program.
Thank you. Good morning, Kira. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Let's start off with Zamfara. Another fire, not fuel tanker this time, but an inferno in that Almajiri school, and 17 children dead. Yeah,
well, so sad, and just reminds us that our public safety system is still very below par.
Especially when it comes to schools, isn't it?
Yeah, some of these things are very preventable. You'll be surprised that, and it's part of the problem that we talk about when we say that the local government administrations are basically emasculated. There are no basic firefighting equipment, ordinary, those big, what
fire
they call
extinguishers.
The fire extinguishers, they don't find it anywhere. Some of these fires, like the one in Zamfara State, could have been, taken care of if somebody saw it.
What got me thinking about, Lalu, is there used to be handbooks when we were kids of what to do
in case of a fire.
Yeah. What to do in case of an attack, even a terrorist attack, a robbery attack.
Right.
What things are you supposed to do? Do those things still exist?
I mean, that's the point. All of those
Especially
things.
for a school like this one.
It's just, and it's so sad. It's just a painful reminder of where we have gotten to. And, when some of us keep insisting that, look, we need to go back to the basics, we need people to speak out, it's because of things like this. And these are even very low reflections. There are even more damaging things, that we deal with. But, it's sad. And this has become often, especially this year, we've seen quite a number of preventable explosions, preventable fire incidents. The question is, how long more are we going to have to tolerate this kind of...
The president, of course, President Bola Tinubu, has sent his condolences. We can see that the governor of Zamfara State visibly distraught by this situation. One of the questions that also came to my mind: do they have fire drill? You know how, like in channels here, we do a rehearsal. We're always rehearsing on what to do if there's a fire. I just wondered, an Almajiri school like that, knowing how Almajiri schools can be when it comes to do they do fire drills? Are there trainings and things like that?
You will expect. But if you look at the level of the extent of damage,
you can tell,
of the local government, the fact that they don't exist. As a matter of fact, even when whatever it is that they have, they just share money, normally into three places. This goes to the governor, and all kind of, there are no attention paid anymore to such issues. Even the classrooms themselves. Students are lying, barefooted, on their bellies, sitting on the floor. The quality of teachers, the buildings are dilapidated. So it's just a rigmarole, an unending list of unfortunate circumstances, including this kind of preventable inferno.
The ICPC is speaking about this 20 billion ghost workers pension deduction.
Yeah, so it's again. So we talk a lot about official graft. That means people that are interested with public funds taking the money. But here you have a situation where regular people in this public service, who have access to the payroll, do all kinds of play all kinds of tricks. These are regular Nigerians. Oftentimes. When
it's
I see
endemic.
this
Is it, what can be done about this? While we're looking, okay, we saw the former NHIS boss, with that embarrassing story and being remanded even afterwards.
Right.
But it got me thinking. Is there a way to make sure that our public service, from top to bottom?
I think part of the problem, like in the case of the NHIS former boss, Professor Usman, I think, it is sad that people will say that, it is because he's being critical. He has a right to be critical of government. It is his fundamental human right.
Yeah, we saw people from Katsina State saying, look,
but does that right extend to the fact that he shouldn't answer questions regarding his conduct when he was NHIS boss? And this is the problem that we have to deal with. So if it's coming from my ethnic group, I'm going to defend the guy regardless of the facts of the matter. And then if it's not my ethnic group, then it doesn't matter. And these are the kinds of games that the elites play. Professor Usman, the former NHIS boss, should just go and answer the charges. Let them give him a fair trial. That is the only thing that we should be asking. We shouldn't be questioning the fact that, don't make the connection. It doesn't matter. There are no limitations, statute limitations to say that, okay, if you stole 10 years ago, 10 years after, nobody can go after you. They can come after you anytime. Because, this is a public trust that you have allegedly abused. And we should stop all these kinds of rhetoric to say that, it's because he's attacking the president, or it's because he's speaking out. He can speak out all he wants, but he should also answer the question. We shouldn't weaken the fight against corruption. And this is one of the things that I have been saying, that Mr. President himself has to become much more proactive. He has to be much more deliberate. You can't just fight corruption by some of the policies. You have to fight corruption frontally, because it's so corrosive, it's so endemic. If we don't kill corruption, like President Buhari said, he's right on that. Corruption will kill us. And this is what we see all the time.
Speaking of Mr. President, France, for a personal visit.
Yeah.
Before the AU event in Addis Ababa. Right. Another visit to France.
Clearly, Mr. President loves Paris. I remember they say, see Paris and die.
But, the ripple effects of that. Remember the last time, it did cause a bit of a ruckus in West Africa. I mean, should he have gone to Paris at this point? I'm sure there'll be reasons. I know how the presidency works. There'll be reasons why that visit is expedient. But on that matter though.
Yeah. The thing is that, to be very honest with you, Kela, we have become desensitized, really. It didn't start with President Tinubu. It started, probably, I don't recall what happened during Jonathan. I wasn't in the country then. But even, during President Buhari, there were all kinds of trips. They say, where is he on vacation? Is he not on vacation? And so President Tinubu comes in and continues the practice. And people are becoming desensitized. We are losing our sensitivity to some of those things. And we just hope for the best. I think
the conversation about the three countries that have left ECOWAS might come up in that meeting with President Macron.
Well, I'm sure that it should have been discussed even much earlier.
Yeah.
But I think that to those who say that why is Nigeria getting close to France, because of what happened in those three countries, I say that's nonsense. Nigeria is a big country. We have the capacity to have a reasonable relationship with any other country in this world if we put our hands together. There's no such country where Nigeria can't go head to head diplomatically. We have the people, we have the intellect, and we have the can-do spirit. Yeah. So I don't think that Nigeria shouldn't get close to France because of the problems with the three countries. I mean, if the people of France think that they can take advantage of Nigeria, good luck to them.
Speaking of Mr. President, an increase in the 2025 budget.
I love that, because I believe that we're not spending enough, really. If you look at the population that we are dealing with, over 200 million people, and then we are spending, 20 trillion, now 40, and now it's up to 54.
I mean, these are not the issues. I think what the problem is when we hear, so he has explained the money came in from the FIRS, from customs and other agencies, increase this budget. And of course, we've heard economists talk about the fact that, look, it may look like a massive budget, but in terms of spending power compared to last year, it's actually lesser than last year. However, when it comes to the person on the ground and feeling that the budget has been applied to make my life better, that's where the question is.
Yeah, so
because it doesn't feel that way. And then it also brings up the question of government spending.
Right. Well, what I want to lead with is the fact that we have to spend a lot more. We have to spend a lot more, to be able to reflect the economy, to be able to even make a dent on some of the issues that we are dealing with. Look at all the kinds of gaps that we have, infrastructural gaps, human capital development, the rot that is in that space, in education, in health, they are just too much. Now, I'm not saying that the public budget should take care of everything, but we must find a way in which the public budget is not diminishing in real terms, because it is diminishing in real terms when you look at the devaluation of the naira and stuff like that. So we must find ways to get around that. Otherwise, we'll just be going round and round in circles. Your point is right, that maybe at the end of the day it's not even trickling down as it ought to be, and that's a different conversation as to efficiency, as to corruption, which is also a big deal.
As to disbursement, because budgeting and disbursements are not the same thing.
They're not the same thing, although I think we're doing better in terms of, making those funds available, if compared to years before, I think budget performance is beginning to inch, a little better. But of course, we have to find ways to spend more money. If you compare our budget to the budget of New York State, I can bet that New York State is spending more money than the entire Federation of Nigeria. That just tells you it just gives you a picture that we still have a long way to go. But you're right. Government has to cut its expenses. We have to reduce the ostentation by government officials, and we have to deal with corruption. But we must spend more money so that we can transform this country.
I'm going to toss it to Ayo in a bit, but before I toss it to Ayo, Ude Okoye, National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party. We had the conversation when he ran out of that hall.
Yeah.
And now, Mr. Turaki SAN, of course, said with that committee that was set up, said, we're going to look at all the papers that you have from the courts. And ultimately, the Board of Trustees of the PDP has picked Ude Okoye as a National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party. Opposition, maybe.
Yeah. Well, the point is that, look, the PDP has failed the Nigerian people by not giving us an opposition of any kind at all.
They've settled one problem. Maybe they're on the way.
And this problem started when Alhaji Atiku Abubakar chose to go against the grain of a national consensus regarding rotational presidency.
But we had his daughter here yesterday on the program, and one of the things that Hawa Atiku raised, and one of the things that she said was, listen, while we keep talking about rotational presidency and whatnot, what about competence? And it really got me thinking. If we had an agreement that there should be rotational presidency, we can evolve past an agreement, can't we, and start to focus on the competency of who's going to lead, as opposed to some unspoken deal we had where we rotate between North and South.
No, I don't think our national consensus around rotational presidency is at the exclusion of competence. No. It's that Nigeria is such a big country. We are so multi-dimensional in terms of our ethnicity, regionalism, and religion, and all kinds of things. And we said, look, just so everybody gets a sense of belonging, let's do this thing turn by turn, because we've had a past where you have much more people in the north. I think 65% of the time of presidency in this country has gone to the north. And so it's reasonable to say that, going forward from 1999, let us rotate. And so Atiku Abubakar, who should know better, a consummate politician, very brilliant human being who can bring people together. He failed this country and he failed his own reputation when he decided to go against the grain.
Will he be doing worse if he comes out in 2020?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is why PDP is in trouble. It's important to say it. That's the reason why PDP is in trouble. That's why the chairmanship of the party, moved away from where it ought to be. And that leads to every other thing. So there's no point talking about the fallout. What is the root cause? The root cause of the problem of PDP is because the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar decided to go against a national consensus rotational presidency, 8 years of the North, 8 years of the South.
Ayo.
Well, I'm in Lagos, so I'm going to stick with Lagos matters for a start. But Mr. Akande, you are not unaware of what's happening in the APC, beg your pardon, in Lagos, concerning the speakership. The Speaker of the State House of Assembly has been embroiled in some kind of issues. And it's still, I don't even know whether to say it is certain or uncertain. Who is the Speaker of the State House of Assembly? On the one hand, of course, some people are saying, look, the status quo that we have now, where the Honorable Miranda is the Speaker, should be sustained. And there are those who are saying, look, it's not over yet, because Mudashiru Obasa, Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, is still in contention one way or the other. But then, what is the Governor's Advisory Council saying is another thing. So what's your take in all of this? Or is it just all politics?
Yeah, well, it's a lot of politics, Ayo, and I can report that the situation in Lagos regarding the Lagos State House of Assembly has even become more worrisome. I'm aware that the president is not happy about what it is that has happened in Lagos. The president wants to sustain what he argues to be where we're talking about rotational presidency. So I'm told that the president doesn't like the fact that the governor, and the speaker in Lagos come from the same zone. So we've had arguments and narratives that Obasa is a loyalist of the president. He has seen the president since his return. The president is not happy that they removed him and all of that. But the current issue on the ground now is that the president has put his feet down and say that, look, you can't have the governor of Lagos come from Lagos Central and also have the speaker in Lagos come from Lagos Central. So I suspect that something is going to have to give, because, whether Obasa is a loyalist or is not a loyalist, that seems to be a strong argument. If you are saying that, look, this thing has to be shared. The governor is from Lagos Central, the new speaker is from Lagos Central. Maybe Obasa won't get back, but that may be a very strong indication of what might happen. The thing about Lagos politics that we must concede is that Lagos is one of the few states in this country where we have seen a reasonable evolution of a democratic development, besides the fact that the president himself is the godfather, which you can't really take away. Besides that fact, you have a state assembly that is fairly independent of who the governor is after Asiwaju. So you have a strong speaker, Obasa, right there, and then you have a very, I would even say performing governor as Sanwo-Olu, and they can balance out each other. We have to give Lagos that credit. So what has happened now is that the members of the Lagos State House of Assembly, they are further attempting to assert their independence, even beyond the reaches of the godfather, that's the president. Okay? And the president, being a Democrat himself, he understands that game, that look, this is where these people are going. But now he seems to have brought out the trump card and say, okay, if you guys are going to remove Obasa, then we can have a situation where both the governor and the speaker comes from the same Lagos Central. We're going to see how that turns out, Ayo.
It's interesting that we put it that way, because on the one hand, the president is looking at, if the president is indeed looking at it that way, on the one hand, the president is looking at the political balance. On the other hand, the Lagos State House of Assembly members are looking at their independence. So one has to give, right? Particularly in the name, and both of them have the consequences of posterity.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's why I said that the crisis in Lagos has taken a new turn. Look, I mean, we have it on good authority that after Obasa came back to the country, he has met with the president, okay? And the GAC clearly has also been persuaded by the fact that, look, the members of the State Assembly are very decisive about this thing. It's not likely that they are going back. And we are told that the president don't like the idea that where you guys have removed this guy, he is alleging that it is not done properly, that it's not natural justice because he didn't get an opportunity to defend himself. But now, you guys have even gone to replace him, and the replacement that you have given him is against what we all have agreed, that we will split the governorship and the speakership in two different zones. So I mean, that seems to me a winning argument.
Well, I guess, as you said, we'll wait to see how it goes, at the end of the day. But there's this other issue that's also, making the rounds. Of course, you are not unaware of the position of the United States of America about funding for some aids to Nigeria and a number of other countries of the world. What's interesting in this whole conversation for me, Mr. Akande, is, okay, this is like a wake-up call. Do you think we can really rouse from this sleep, or we're still too drowsy to see the consequences, particularly in the near or far future?
Okay, two quick things, Hayo. I think that we should commend the federal government, especially the initiative of Professor Ali Paten, to quickly come up with the budgetary provision to handle some of the implications, namely some of the HIV treatment and stuff like that. About over 4 billion quickly provided to fill that gap. We should commend that. The second thing is that, look, a lot of the other aspects or a significant aspect of the USAID funding, people normally challenge the disbursement. Anyway, it's like, those disbursements just disappear somewhere in the tunnel, in the pipeline, before it reaches the end of the road where it's meant to be. So my point is that a few, experts, may suffer, they may lose their consultancy, but I don't see a devastating impact on the common man, beyond the issue of HIV, which the federal government has responded to. But the third point, quickly, on what is happening is that the whole world is going to have to tolerate this kind of behavior from the United States of America, and hopefully 4 years after, we can all try to recover from it, because a lot more is on the way, as you can guess.
When you said a lot more is on the way, so my heart skipped a bit. Because how will we handle it? We collect a lot of funding. Laolu.
Oh, well, look, that one is even very... Look, what about the people of Gaza, the Palestine? The US president said, you guys get out of your place. Get out of the place. America wants to take over. Of course, it's not going to happen, but the very idea, it must tell you how audacious, the president is, and how clueless he is to say some of these things that are completely outrageous. Look, let's just, hook on our seat belts. It's going to be very bumpy for these next 4 years.
But it's an opportunity.
It is an opportunity indeed for us to get our act together.
As a challenge, it's an opportunity for you to get your act together.
I agree with you, Kela.
I want to thank you very much, Mr. Laolu Akande, for being with us on the program.
Thank you so much.
And looking forward to Inside Sources.
Tomorrow, by the grace of God.
There you go. Laolu Akande, former presidential media aide, speaking on a lot of national issues. We have a few messages here. Okay, I'm going to take Pastor Law Alpha C. It says Nigeria is tilting towards a one-party state with a spate of irreconcilable leadership squabbles in almost all the political parties that made a significant impact in 2023 general elections. This is a direct attack on democracy and good governance. Ayo?
Well, I think it's just a wonderful place for me to say thank you for the privilege of being a part of your morning. And there are a number of other messages here and there that we can look at, but you just have to go to Sunrise Daily now on X. Thank you, and have a beautiful day. I'm Ayo Makinde.
Thank you all very much for tuning in. I'm Kayla Magwa. Have a great day.